I think so. You said, I was not in the work session, so that's why I skipped over names.
Okay, I'll do it. Loving God, we gather with a sense of thanksgiving for all your gifts, that we live in a land of abundance and resources. We give you thanks for all the opportunities offered to us, for the nurturing of the spirit, the educating of the mind. Help us then to use all these gifts and your spirit to make wise decisions, to do the work of the people of this community. For it is in your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Join me in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Keeling, please call the roll.
Carrie Hodge, Ward 1. Here. Jay Stepp, Ward 2.
Here.
Louis Tonsmeyer, Ward 3.
Here.
Lindsay McDaniel, Ward 4.
Here.
Diane Tate, Ward 5. Here. Lori Pruitt, Ward 6.
Thank you, Connie. I did speak with Ms. Pruitt a little bit earlier today. She's a little under the weather, so while everybody likes sharing, I didn't think sharing germs was a good idea, so she's going to sit this one out. First order of business is the approval of our council meeting minutes from February 16th. Council's had these well in advance tonight. Chair will entertain any edits, additions, corrections, or motions.
Mayor, we discussed it in the work session, didn't see any corrections or additions. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. We do have on the top item of our agenda the second reading of the amendment to the utilities ordinance regarding electric rates. I know that some of the folks have traveled here tonight in anticipation of that. Some of those same people know that we've been continuing open dialogue and gathering information. And so my recommendation to council on this evening as we continue to gather and to discuss that item be set aside this evening, and it'll require a motion, a second, and approval.
Make a motion to table that item.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And motion carries unanimously. Second item on the agenda is the amendment to the utilities ordinance regarding electric rate and rider language modification. Mr. Myers, just as a note, this has absolutely nothing to do with the item that we just tabled, so we're going to go ahead and progress and take care of this piece of business.
No, sir, these are language-only items. There were several items that were changed, but the biggest item, or the biggest reason for the change, was some contract language that Keith Lovell recommended we change. And there's been no changes since first reading.
Any questions or discussion on this item? Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion for approval.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, David. And while I've got just a minute, I do want to thank Mayor Pro Tem Tate for taking care of the work session. Life just happened to call, and I was unable to be here, so I'm going to try to eyeball this agenda and see who's supposed to be coming up. Who's handling the appointment for the DDA? Hello, Dan.
Mr. Mayor, the DDA board, Saunders Jones, he filled an unexpired term, need to be reappointed. The DDA board recommends him for the new term, 4-year term to expire February 18th, 2016, and recommend this for your approval.
Okay. Pretty cut and dry. Any discussion? And if not, Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. We've got a time change for Civic Youth Day.
Right, this is one of two meetings during the year that you move the meeting to the morning. The other one is the Christmas parade. This would move the April 19 meeting time from 7 p.m. to 9 a.m. so that we can do the Civic Youth Day ceremonies and involve the students. That's what it is, and I recommend your approval on it.
Thank you. That'll also move our work session to 8 o'clock that morning. All right. If there's any discussion or questions or motions to be made.
Last year we sort of deviated from previous years on the way that we entertain the students, or they entertain us. And I was wondering how we plan to do that this year. Is it too early?
I kind of did that last year. My feeling was, while we want to give them experience of the Civic Youth Day and actually see our local government in action, I did feel that having 2 or 3 pretend council members and staff members up here, number one, trying to get through a meeting, and it just seemed like kind of deviated from what we're really up here for. So that was my doing. I'd like to do that again, as opposed to having the high schools, the participants making motions and seconds and doing that type of voting. So,
No problem with me.
okay, well, good. Yes, sir.
Your way is the way it was more traditionally done anyway. I mean, for years and years, we've had that.
So is Mike
But
Fields to blame for
it's just
the lack of
recently-
control?
Yes, just recently, they started coming up in city. I can't remember when we started it, as far as what year, but I do remember thinking, well, that's kind of weird, we've never done it that way. Now, that could have been 20 years ago.
There's a lot of things.
Or
Mike's
15
done
or
that they can
10.
fix.
I think it was Mike's fault.
Yeah.
Never spoke up.
All right, well, we're at the point where we need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
All right.
And motion carries unanimously. We have a number of contracts and agreements. Randy?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The first item, or my only item on the agenda tonight is the satisfaction of subordinate deed to secure debt. As so happens time to time, one of our first-time home buyers in the program has sold their home prior to the completion of the 5-year forgivable loan. And with that, there will be a repayment made to the program of $4,000. That repayment has already occurred. And with that, the money will go back into the program, and we request authorization for you to sign subject deed.
Any questions for Mr. Menino on this item?
Mayor, just a question for Mr. Menino. Do you know offhand how many rounds of this money we have had?
Yes, I do.
3 or 4?
We've had 5 now. The 2012 one, we just received an additional $300,000. Up to this point, we've helped 87 first-time home buyers get into homes. A very low percentage of them sell the home prior to the 5 years, but there's many circumstances that would.
I mean, that's great, Randy. That's got to be a good record for a city our size.
Very
Any
good.
size.
And the new round, again, we had just received another $300,000 for this program, and it should help an additional 25 families.
And they're still taking classes.
Yes, they're required as part of the program to take the first-time home buyers program class, home ownership class, and so forth, yes.
It's a good program.
Well, if you're that much in favor of it, I'd like to make a motion.
Yes, sir. Make a motion to do satisfaction of subordinate deed.
Second?
Motion is second, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Randy. Mr. Porter?
Yes, Mayor, we have an annual invoice from GMA to provide telecommunication services at the amount of $5,000. They help us with cable communications and other telecommunication issues such as Senate Bill 313. I recommend approval of this invoice.
Any questions on this item?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're all good. All right, continue on.
Next item, Mayor, is the ArcMail server. We currently have, we keep our email storage for 5 years. We've been using ArcMail technology for a number of years. And this year, they propose either a 1-year maintenance agreement at $4,320, or we can do a 3-year maintenance agreement, and they will provide us with a new 2 terabyte disk storage unit, which will save us some money. The 3-year price is $11,873. There is money in the budget to cover this purchase.
Getting straightforward. Any questions, comments, or motions?
Mayor, question. Dan, we didn't talk about this in the work session. I don't see anything here in the contract if they back out.
We own the storage server, so we're basically buying a maintenance agreement, but if they end up having to back out, we'd still own the storage server, so we'd get value out of that storage device. But I mean, we've been with them for 6 or 7 years, and it's a good product. It's a good price that we're going to get. Plus, like I said, by staying with them, we're getting the free storage server out of it.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Thank you, Dan. Ron Carter.
Honorable Mayor and Council, at the February the 2nd, 2012 council meeting, the council approved the purchase of 4 half-ton pickup trucks. These were supposed to be extended cab pickup trucks for the water department. While discussing the purchase order with the vendor after the awarding, it was noted by the vendor that he inadvertently gave us the wrong bid. He bid on a single cab instead of an extended cab. As a result, I've talked with him. I also talked with the water department. It was discussed at the water department level. He was willing to give us a smaller engine size and give us also a extended cab truck. After the water department talked over with their department folks that were going to be driving them, they decided not to accept that bid. They furthermore asked the vendor to throw that bid out, so that was done. On the advice of our attorney, I did call the other 3 vendors to see if they would be willing to honor their bids. They were. The following bids, the 3 remaining bids are as follows. Allen Visual Ford at $95,980, and again, this is for 4 pickup trucks. CD Motors of Cartersville was $96,277.44. Mall of Georgia Ford was at $96,360. I recommend that the prior award on 2/2/2012 be rejected, and that the award now be awarded to CD Motors of Cartersville here in Cartersville. Their bid is a little bit higher, $297.44 higher than the first lower bid, but they are a local bidder, and if there's warranty work needs to be done, it's just more cost efficient to do it here. We do have E-Verify, and need to save their documents on file.
Thank you. Any questions for Tom on this item? And if you make a motion, please specify the vendor.
I'd like to make a motion to approve City Motors with a bid of $96,277.44.
Probably need to reject the whole.
And reject Win Pontiac's bid.
I'll second that.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And the motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep going.
Mayor, Council,
Clerk can't close.
the first item we have here is for the purchase of chemical injectors at the water treatment plant. The finished water chemical injectors at the water treatment plant are in need of replacement. We use a number of different chemicals. Each of those has a different material compatibility requirement. We were able to find one manufacturer that manufactures a injector port that meets the compatibility requirements for us on all the different chemicals. They submitted a price quote of $5,762.28. We recommend approval of this purchase from Safety Flow Incorporated. They have submitted the E-Verify and Save documentation, and we recommend approval.
Any questions for Ed on this item? If there are none, the chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Continue on, sir.
Okay. The chlorine analyzer at the water treatment plant is reaching the end of its useful life and needs to be replaced. This is required to meet state requirements on reporting. Bids were received on 3 different units. Price from PSI Incorporated of $5,580.05. Templeton and Associates submitted a price of $5,802, and Hawk Instruments submitted a price of $5,637.45. We recommend approval of purchase of this unit from PSI Incorporated in the amount of $5,580.05. We do have all E-Verify and Save documentation in hand. and this will be paid for from the maintenance budget item of the water treatment plant.
Any discussion? More questions? More motions?
Make a motion to approve PSL Inc. $5,580.05 for replacement chlorine analyzer for our treatment plant.
Would you amend that to include PSI too, if they're involved?
What did I say, Mayor?
PSI.
I certainly apologize. I meant PSI.
That's the worst mistake you've made all day. You've had a pretty good day.
You did.
I'll second her mistake.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Carries. Next item, please.
The water line on Lindsay Drive is old and it's in need of replacement. It's a 2-inch galvanized line. It's been the source of a lot of red water complaints. We received prices for material to replace this line. It will be installed with our own crews. The material quoted was approximately 600 feet of 6-inch diameter ductile iron pipe and 1,000 feet of 2-inch PVC pipe. The prices, bids received are as follows. HD Supply submitted a bid of $17,794.49. Kendall Municipal submitted a bid of $18,449.99, and Ferguson Waterworks submitted a bid of $19,926.81. This project will also have the added benefit of improving firefighting capability, and there we will be adding a fire hydrant. We do have the E-Verify and Save documentation in hand. This will be paid for from the maintenance item for water lines.
Any questions or discussion? There are none. The chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We have an item to add to the agenda this evening. A motion to add that item to the agenda.
Offer that motion.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Item is added.
Do you need a copy of that?
I've got one up here. Thank you.
This item is for the emergency repair of the alum storage tank at our water treatment plant. The alum storage tank has developed a large crack and is in need of emergency repairs. Alum is one of the primary chemicals used in the water treatment process. In its current condition, the tank is able to store the alum we have on hand and dispense it, but will need to be repaired before we receive another alum delivery. And we anticipate needing to have the alum restocked before the next council meeting, so that's why we're bringing it as an emergency reading. We found one company that was able to do the repairs. They quoted us a price of $6,900. That's DBR Associates of Roswell, Georgia. We recommend approval of this contract with DBR Associates, and this item will be paid for from the water treatment plant maintenance and repairs budget item. We do have the E-Verify and Save document in hand.
Very good. Any discussion on this item? Questions or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
That includes, thank you, Ed. That includes the agenda. Is there any other items that need to come before council this evening?
Mayor, if you don't mind, I know we tabled the electric ordinance, but I do have one question for a Lindy representative, if you don't mind.
That's fine. So Lindy representatives like to come up, and please, for our clerk, state your name and your address, please.
Good evening. Steve Castricane from New Jersey, Murray Hill, representing Lindy here in town.
Mr. Castricane, if you don't mind, my concern is with the wealth of information that we've been given from many sources at this point. I'm somewhat confused in actually what Lindy hopes to achieve at the end of this. Is it rates? Is it PCA? Tell me what it is that you hope council determines.
What we'd like to achieve through this process, and there's a lot of data to go through, would be a compromise in the rate design on the allocation of costs that captures the current method with some modifications that have been presented by our consultant. So, and that would, in part, that would include the PCA.
So primarily it's the PCA where it's at now is the underlying issue. It's not so much where we are as far as the rates, it's the PCA.
Not exactly, because the PCA value is embedded now into the rate structure, and so that's where the rate design piece comes into play.
Okay. Well, that helps me.
I hope so. And we can make ourselves available whenever you would like to go through, to have an open dialogue, to exchange questions and answers, if it helps clarify any of the information that's been presented. And I'd also like to add that, thank you for your consideration, continued consideration. And I have more details behind the charts that were presented or sent out recently. So I'd also, in an opportunity, I would be more than happy to share that in the proper setting, to support any of that, the charts that you see as some of that information was redacted.
May I, Mayor?
You certainly may, sir.
I haven't been in the conversations about this, so I apologize for asking a question that may be oversimplistic, but if you could help me understand, among whom do you want the reallocation? What entities? I mean, you want to reallocate, but I don't understand what it is you want to reallocate from what group to what group?
Well, there's, before the allocation, we need to relook at, together, we need to look at the actual, the amount being requested from the revenue that would come from everybody, and if that is at all above the required amount in any shape, way, or form.
No, I'm specifically asking what you mean by reallocation. And I'm sure everybody else up here knows what you're talking about, but I haven't met you before. I haven't been a part of the conversation, and I'm just trying to understand what it is you're saying we should do.
It would be the cost allocation to be more cost causation. So the costs that are currently proposed to be applied to the industrials, it would be allocated more representative of how we cause cost.
I'm sorry, how you what?
The cost that we incur for the city. And so once that's done, if there's the leftover would be allocated to spread more evenly over other rate classes.
So in other words, you would like to reallocate from the large industrial customers to the smaller industrial customers, the commercial and the residential? Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is that the way the costs are collected from the industrials and all ratepayer small accounts should be representative on the costs that they incur for the town, so they can recover properly.
Okay. I still don't understand, but thank you for explaining.
Well,
You mean by which you consume. You're saying you consume X and you pay X, but what you have paid in, you don't feel like it's divvied out correctly.
In part, yes, because there's certain costs that the city has to pay for infrastructure, for example, to serve customers. In a simple form, if we're not using certain parts of that system, or we're using parts of the system in a certain way, then we should only be charged for what we use or the way we use it.
And do you think that would hold true for all the other industries?
If it's, it should be, yes. The way we've seen it done typically is that idea of the cost that they're, and the infrastructure that they're using, they're paying for.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I'm good now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, any other business that needs to come before council this evening? Like we rehearsed this, Greg.
We
We have 2 organized hikes the next week. We have this Saturday, we have the Mayor's March, Saturday at Pine Mountain West Trailhead, be leaving at 10 a.m. Then we have one next Thursday night as our Moonlight Hike, and we'll be leaving, I believe it's at 6:15. Also this weekend, we have one of our larger gymnastics meets, the Spring Fling, is held at the Cartersville High School Storm Center on Saturday and Sunday, so I'd like to invite everybody out there to watch some good gymnastics. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. And yes, Jay's heard you whispering, it's Mayor Matt's March Mountain March.
Yeah, it's
Saturday
awesome.
at 9:45, we'll leave at 10, and I'll see you there, I'm sure. Also, before we leave, I would certainly want to pass our condolences and recognize the life of Charles Llewellyn, who lost unexpectedly last week, of all things, during a charity basketball game. And Charles meant a lot to this city, meant a lot to this entire community, and everybody who had the pleasure of knowing him. And once again, our thoughts and prayers are with his family as they work through this great loss, and everybody else in this community has lost a great friend, Charles. Anything else before council? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.